Welcome back to Twisted Faith. Today we're exploring the top creepy places in Texas. Everything is bigger in Texas, and that includes its legends, mysteries, and haunted history. From sprawling deserts to bustling cities, Texas is a state of contrasts, rich with stories that span centuries. Known for its cowboys, oil booms, and barbecue, Texas also hides a darker side, a history filled with unsolved crimes, tragic events, and eerie tales of the supernatural. The Lone Star State has been home to countless cultures and historical moments. Indigenous peoples, Spanish explorers, settlers, and even outlaws all left their marks here, shaping the state into a land of deeply rooted folklore. Before we enter the realm of the unknown, hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss out as we uncover the mysteries of creepy places. Remember to like, share, and comment below with your own tales of the supernatural. Number 5. Henley Row, Galveston, Texas. Situated in the heart of Galveston, Texas, Henley Row stands as one of the city's oldest surviving commercial buildings, a relic of a bygone era, and a site steeped in ghostly lore. Built between 1855 and 1859, Henley Row was designed in the Greek Revival style, characterized by its clean lines, symmetrical form, and imposing columns. The architectural style was a symbol of stability and grandeur, fitting for the booming port city of Galveston, which, by the mid-19th century, was one of the wealthiest cities in Texas. The row of buildings was commissioned by the Henley brothers, prominent businessmen who envisioned the structures as a commercial hub for the bustling port town. Henley Row housed various enterprises, including shipping companies, banks, and trading offices, all of which capitalized on Galveston's role as a gateway to the Gulf of Mexico. During the Civil War, Henley Row played a significant role in Texas's Confederate efforts. It served as a headquarters and lookout point for Confederate forces, providing a strategic vantage for observing Union ships patrolling the coastline. Henley Row also bears the scars of one of the most catastrophic events in American history, the Great Storm of 1900, a hurricane that devastated Galveston and claimed over 6,000 lives. While many of the city's buildings were reduced to rubble, Henley Row survived, a testament to its sturdy construction. However, the storm left its mark in more ways than one. Some visitors to the site claim to have seen apparitions of storm victims, wandering the grounds in soaked, tattered clothing. Others report hearing faint cries or whispers carried on the breeze, believed to be echoes of those lost during the disaster. Over the decades, Henley Row has garnered a reputation as one of Galveston's most haunted sites. Reports of paranormal activity are numerous and varied, adding to its mystique. Multiple witnesses have reported seeing shadowy figures moving through the halls or lingering near the windows. These figures are often described as silent, fleeting. Some paranormal investigators theorize that Henley Row harbors residual energy, a type of haunting where intense emotions or events imprint themselves on a location. This could explain why visitors often feel an inexplicable heaviness or a sudden chill while exploring the site. Today, Henley Row is a prominent feature of Galveston's Strand Historic District, housing shops, galleries, and offices. Despite its modern use, the buildings retain their historic charm and eerie atmosphere, making them a favorite stop on local ghost tours. The thick walls and solemn architecture seem to whisper stories of a city once full of wealth, struck by tragedy, and haunted by its past. For those brave enough to explore, Henley Row offers a unique opportunity to walk through Texas history, one steeped in war, disaster, and perhaps restless spirits. Whether you visit for its history or its hauntings, Henley Row will undoubtedly leave an impression. Number 4. The Magnolia Hotel, Seguin, Texas. Located in the quiet town of Seguin, Texas, the Magnolia Hotel has earned a reputation as one of the most haunted places in the state. With nearly 200 years of history steeped in violence, tragedy, and paranormal tales, this unassuming building is a must-visit for anyone intrigued by the supernatural. The Magnolia Hotel's history begins in 1840, during a time when Texas was still an independent republic, and the region was rife with danger. The frontier was teeming with conflict between settlers, Native American tribes, and Mexican forces, and lawlessness was a constant threat. Amid this chaos, Texas Ranger James Campbell constructed a modest 2-room log cabin on the property. Campbell's role as a ranger involved enforcing order in a land where violence was an everyday reality. Rangers frequently dealt with cattle rustlers, bandits, and even deadly skirmishes with Comanche warriors, who resisted the encroachment of settlers on their lands. Campbell used his cabin as a headquarters for his operations, likely planning missions and harboring supplies. Tragically, in 1847, Campbell's life was cut short when he was murdered during a raid. His death marked the beginning of a dark legacy for the property, one that would continue to grow over the decades. By 1844, the property had transformed into a stagecoach stop and hotel. Located on a major travel route, it became a lifeline for weary travelers journeying across the untamed landscape. Stagecoach stops during this era were not just places of rest, they were crucial hubs for trade, communication, and community interaction. However, the hotel's success also attracted unsavory characters. Robberies, assaults, and murders became commonplace, as criminals saw the stagecoach stop as an easy target for vulnerable travelers. Adding to the eerie history, the hotel's basement was repurposed into a holding cell for outlaws awaiting trial. Many of these prisoners would die on the property, either from illness or violent escapes, leaving behind a heavy spiritual residue that many believe lingers today. One of the most haunting tales connected to the Magnolia Hotel involves the tragic death of 12-year-old Emma Voelker. In July 1874, William Faust, a pharmacist from Seguin, harbored a sinister plan to murder his estranged wife, Helen. Learning that she was staying with the Voelker family in New Braunfels, Faust saw an opportunity to carry out his deadly intent. On the night of July 22, 1874, Faust borrowed a horse from the Magnolia Hotel and rode to the Voelker residence. Under the cover of darkness, he entered the home and, in a case of mistaken identity, attacked young Emma, who was sharing a bed with Helen. Faust struck Emma with an axe, fatally wounding her, and delivered a blow to Helen that left her permanently blind. Believing he had accomplished his mission, Faust fled the scene, returning the horse to the hotel and retiring to his room, seemingly undisturbed. The brutality of the crime sent shockwaves through the community. Faust was eventually apprehended, and after a series of legal proceedings, was convicted of murder. However, before he could serve his sentence, Faust was assassinated in his jail cell by an unknown assailant, adding another layer of mystery to the grim narrative. During the 1920s and 1930s, the Magnolia Hotel became entangled in the violence and intrigue of the Prohibition era. With alcohol outlawed, the hotel served as a speakeasy for bootleggers, gamblers, and shady figures looking to exploit the black market. It was during this time that mobsters frequented the property, using it as a hideout and safe haven for illegal operations. Several shootouts and violent encounters reportedly occurred within its walls, further deepening its dark history. The Magnolia Hotel's haunted reputation stems not only from its violent past, but also from the numerous ghostly encounters reported by visitors. One of the most menacing spirits encountered is the Shadow Man, a dark, shapeless figure that appears in the upstairs hallways. Witnesses describe an oppressive sense of fear whenever he is near, and some have even felt physical touches, like an icy grip on their arms. Other spirits are less threatening but equally mysterious. In the kitchen, visitors have reported the smell of food cooking when no one is there. Investigators have also recorded disembodied voices and humming, believed to be from a former cook or caretaker. Guests have also recounted experiences of objects moving on their own, doors slamming shut without cause, and bedsheets being tugged during the night, suggesting the presence of restless spirits. The basement, once a makeshift jail, is considered the most active area of the hotel. Visitors report hearing chains rattling and faint cries, believed to be echoes of the prisoners who suffered there. One of the more unique hauntings at the Magnolia Hotel involves the sudden and inexplicable smell of roses. This phenomenon is often associated with a female spirit seen roaming the property. Some believe she's a former guest who met a tragic end, while others think she could be linked to a romantic tale lost to history. After decades of neglect, the Magnolia Hotel was restored by its current owners, who embraced its haunted legacy. The hotel now offers guided ghost tours and overnight stays, allowing guests to experience its eerie ambiance firsthand. Many leave with their own tales of inexplicable footsteps, shadowy apparitions, and unshakable feelings of being watched. Its paranormal activity has drawn the attention of ghost hunters and television crews, earning it a spot on numerous most haunted lists. Despite, or perhaps because of, its dark past, the Magnolia Hotel remains a cherished part of Texas history and a testament to the stories that shaped it. The Magnolia Hotel in Seguin, Texas, stands as more than a historical landmark. It is a window into the complex and often violent history of the Lone Star State. From its beginnings as a Texas Ranger's cabin during a tumultuous frontier era to its haunted reputation today, the hotel continues to captivate those brave enough to explore its shadowy halls. For skeptics, it's a fascinating piece of history. For believers, it's a place where the past comes alive, sometimes literally. Would you dare spend the night? Comment down below and let us know. You might find yourself leaving with a chilling story of your own. Number 3. Fort Worth Stockyards, Fort Worth, Texas. Located in the heart of Fort Worth, the Stockyards are one of Texas's most iconic landmarks. Once the center of the booming cattle industry, this historic district brims with tales of the Old West, complete with shootouts, saloons, and railroads. But behind the charm of cowboy culture lies a darker side, one filled with restless spirits, eerie encounters, and tales of tragedy that have earned the Stockyards a reputation as one of the most haunted locations in Texas. The Fort Worth Stockyards were established in the late 19th century as a major hub for the cattle trade. Dubbed the Cowtown of Texas, Fort Worth served as a key stop along the legendary Chisholm Trail, where millions of cattle were driven north to markets. By the early 1900s, the Stockyards had become one of the largest livestock centers in the United States, hosting bustling railroads, meatpacking plants, and thriving saloons. However, the intense activity of this booming industry wasn't without its hardships. Life at the Stockyards was grueling, and workers toiled in harsh conditions. Deaths from accidents, illnesses, and even violence were not uncommon. Many believe this history of hard labor, suffering, and death has left behind a spiritual imprint, contributing to the Stockyards' haunted reputation. The Stockyards were also a hotbed of Wild West lawlessness. The saloons and brothels attracted cowboys, gamblers, and outlaws, creating a perfect storm for drunken brawls and deadly shootouts. Gunfights were commonplace, and many people met untimely ends in the area. The infamous White Elephant Saloon, now part of the Stockyards' legacy, was the site of one of the most notorious shootouts in Fort Worth's history. In 1887, gunfighter Luke Short killed Timothy Longhair Jim Courtright, the city's former marshal, in a dramatic duel that left lasting echoes of violence and betrayal. Some say the spirits of these men, and others who died violently, still linger in the saloon and surrounding streets. The historic Stockyards Hotel. Built in 1907, the Stockyards Hotel has earned a reputation as one of the most haunted spots in the area. Guests often report hearing footsteps in empty hallways, doors slamming shut on their own, and disembodied voices echoing through the night. One room in particular, room 305, is said to be haunted by the ghost of a woman who ended her own life there after her lover never returned from a cattle drive. Guests in the room report feeling sudden chills, hearing soft weeping, or even seeing her shadowy figure by the window. The Stockyards Station, once a bustling railway station for transporting livestock, this site is now home to shops and restaurants. But many believe the spirits of cowboys and workers who met their end on the tracks still roam the area. Visitors have reported ghostly figures walking along the old rail lines, only to disappear moments later. Some claim to hear the sound of a phantom train whistle late at night. The Livestock Exchange Building, often called the Wall Street of the West, this building was the center of cattle trading operations. Staff working late at night have reported seeing shadowy figures in the hallways and feeling an eerie presence. Some believe these ghosts are the spirits of ranchers who spent their lives working in the cattle industry and refused to leave. One of the most enduring legends of the Stockyards is the tale of the Phantom Cowboy. Witnesses describe a spectral figure wearing a wide-brimmed hat and dusty boots, silently patrolling the streets or leaning against a lamppost. He never interacts with anyone and vanishes when approached. Paranormal investigators theorize that this ghost may be a cowboy who died tragically during the Stockyards' heyday, though his identity remains a mystery. Another eerie aspect of the Stockyards hauntings is the phenomenon of residual hauntings, where energy from the past seems to replay like a loop. Visitors have reported hearing the unmistakable sounds of cattle being herded, mooing, hooves stomping, and the commands of cowboys, despite no animals being present. The area's deep ties to the cattle industry may explain these phantom sounds. Today, the Fort Worth Stockyards are a National Historic District and a popular tourist destination. The lively streets and historic buildings transport visitors back to the Old West offering everything from rodeos to cattle drives. But for those with a keen eye, and perhaps a bit of courage, the Stockyards also offer a chance to connect with the spirits of its storied past. The echoes of lawmen, outlaws, cowboys, and laborers seem to permeate the air, making the Fort Worth Stockyards a compelling blend of history and hauntings. Whether you visit for the cowboy culture, the rich history, or the ghostly tales, this Texas landmark is sure to leave you with an experience you won't soon forget. Number 2. San Fernando Cathedral, San Antonio, Texas. The San Fernando Cathedral, located in the heart of downtown San Antonio, is one of the oldest and most historically significant buildings in Texas. Built in 1738, it serves not only as a place of worship, but also as a symbol of the state's rich cultural history. However, beneath its stunning Gothic Revival architecture and peaceful exterior lies a reputation for eerie hauntings, unsettling tales, and whispers of the past that refuse to stay silent. Founded by Spanish settlers from the Canary Islands, the San Fernando Cathedral was originally named Nuestra Señora de la Candelaria y Guadalupe. It became the epicenter of religious life in San Antonio, serving as a place of worship for the early Catholic community. Over the centuries, the church bore witness to some of the most pivotal events in Texas history. One of the most significant moments came during the Battle of the Alamo in 1836. General Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna used the cathedral as his command post during the siege, marking the building as a site of wartime strategy. Santa Anna is said to have hoisted the famous no quarter flag from the church's bell tower, signaling that no prisoners would be taken, a proclamation that led to the brutal massacre of Alamo defenders. The cathedral also became a burial site for numerous figures tied to Texas' turbulent history, including early settlers, soldiers, and priests. It is said that human remains discovered in the church walls during renovations could be those of the fallen Alamo defenders. During restoration efforts in 1936, workers uncovered a sealed coffin containing bones, nails, and tattered military uniforms believed to belong to some of the Alamo's defenders, including Davy Crockett, William B. Travis, and James Bowie. Though their identities were never definitively confirmed, the discovery fueled the church's mystique. Some speculate that the spirits of these men may still wander the grounds, tethered to the location of their final resting place. The San Fernando Cathedral has long been a focal point for ghost stories in San Antonio. Numerous visitors, priests, and locals have reported unexplained occurrences within its hallowed halls and surrounding grounds. One of the most frequently reported sightings involves shadowy, human-like figures moving across the cathedral's walls, particularly near the altar. These apparitions often appear during quiet moments when the church is nearly empty. Visitors have also reported hearing faint voices or chanting echoing through the cathedral when no services are being conducted. Some believe these sounds are residual energy from centuries of prayer and ceremonies. On rare occasions, individuals attending Mass have claimed to see spectral figures seated in the pews, silently watching the service before vanishing. These ghostly attendees are thought to be former parishioners who cannot find rest. Perhaps the most famous apparition tied to the San Fernando Cathedral is the Lady in Gray. Described as a spectral woman dressed in gray robes, she is often seen walking along the aisles or kneeling in prayer at the altar. Witnesses have described her as peaceful, yet undeniably otherworldly, with an aura that leaves a chilling impression. Some believe she is the spirit of a nun or devout worshiper who passed away at the cathedral centuries ago. Like many historic churches, the San Fernando Cathedral was built over a burial ground. In its early days, deceased parishioners and prominent members of the community were interred on the church's grounds. Over time, the cemetery was built over as the city expanded, leaving countless bodies still buried beneath the cathedral and its plaza. Many paranormal experts attribute the hauntings to the restless spirits of those buried here, whose graves were disturbed by construction and urban development. It's not uncommon for visitors to report feelings of unease or cold spots in the plaza, particularly at night. Adding to the cathedral's mystique is its famed San Antonio vertical bar, the Saga, a stunning 24-minute light show projected onto the cathedral's facade. While the light show itself is not paranormal, its artistic depictions of the city's history seem to evoke an emotional and spiritual response in many viewers. Some attendees claim to feel an overwhelming sense of connection to the past, or even experience sudden chills during the performance, heightening the belief that the cathedral is steeped in supernatural energy. Despite its age and history, the San Fernando Cathedral remains an active church, drawing thousands of worshippers and tourists each year. Many come seeking solace or a deeper connection to Texas history, but some leave with stories of unexplained phenomena. Paranormal investigators who have visited the site often leave with compelling evidence, including EVP recordings of voices, inexplicable temperature drops, and even photos of shadowy figures. Whether you visit for its architectural beauty, its historical significance, or its reputation as one of Texas's most haunted landmarks, the San Fernando Cathedral offers an experience like no other. For many, it's a place where the veil between the living and the dead feels particularly thin, leaving behind an impression that's equal parts awe-inspiring and spine-chilling. Number 1. Austin State Hospital, Austin, Texas. The Austin State Hospital, formerly known as the Texas State Lunatic Asylum, is not only the oldest psychiatric hospital in Texas, but also one of the most notorious. Established in 1857, it reflects a complex history of mental health treatment, evolving from crude and inhumane practices to modern therapeutic care. However, the hospital's dark past and the tragedies that occurred within its walls have given rise to numerous ghost stories and reports of paranormal activity. Located in central Austin, the hospital was created in response to a growing need for facilities to treat the mentally ill. In the mid-19th century, mental health treatment was rudimentary at best and often cruel. The Texas legislature approved the facility's construction in 1856, and the hospital began admitting patients in 1861. Initially, the hospital was hailed as progressive for its time, offering fresh air, exercise, and a structured environment. However, as the years passed, overcrowding became a significant issue. By the early 1900s, the hospital was operating far beyond capacity, with more than 2,000 patients housed in facilities designed for a fraction of that number. When the hospital was originally founded in 1857, it was designed to be a largely self-sustaining institution. To achieve this, the hospital operated its own farm system, where patients worked to grow crops, tend livestock, and perform other agricultural tasks. This practice was seen as both therapeutic and practical at the time, as it gave patients meaningful work, while also helping to provide food for the hospital's large population. However, the arrangement wasn't without its darker side. The farm work, while framed as rehabilitation, was often grueling and carried out by patients who may not have been physically or mentally capable of handling the labor. Historical records suggest that some patients were overworked, and accidents and exhaustion were not uncommon. The farm system also functioned as a way to cut costs, prioritizing the hospital's budget over the well-being of its patients. Over time, as medical practices evolved and the hospital shifted toward a more urbanized environment in Austin, the agricultural program was phased out. Like many mental health institutions of its era, the Austin State Hospital employed practices that are now considered inhumane. Patients were subjected to electroshock therapy, ice baths, and lobotomies, procedures often performed without anesthesia or consent. These methods, combined with the lack of understanding about mental illness, led to immense suffering and, in many cases, death. The hospital also became a dumping ground for individuals society deemed undesirable. Women were institutionalized for hysteria, which could include anything from postpartum depression to rebelling against traditional roles. Orphans, the homeless, and even those with mild developmental delays were often admitted, forgotten, and left to languish for years. Records reveal that hundreds of patients died on the premises, many from untreated illnesses, poor living conditions, or complications from experimental treatments. Their remains were buried in unmarked graves on the hospital's property, creating an air of mystery and sorrow that lingers to this day. Over the years, the Austin State Hospital has garnered a reputation as one of Texas's most haunted locations. Numerous reports from former employees, visitors, and even current hospital staff describe eerie encounters that defy logical explanation. One of the most commonly reported phenomena is the sighting of shadowy, human-like figures in the hospital's older buildings. These figures are said to glide silently through the halls, disappearing as suddenly as they appear. Many visitors have reported hearing whispers, cries, or even full conversations in empty rooms. The voices are often described as pleading or mournful, thought to be echoes of the patients who suffered here. Paranormal investigators and curious explorers frequently report sudden drops in temperature in certain areas of the hospital, particularly in the original buildings where the most tragic events occurred. Accounts of doors slamming, objects moving, and lights flickering are not uncommon. Some staff members have even reported feeling an unseen presence brush past them while working late at night. One of the most chilling aspects of the Austin State Hospital is its cemetery. Hidden away on the property, the graveyard contains the remains of hundreds of patients who died at the facility. Many of the graves are marked only by numbers, as families often could not afford proper burials or abandoned their loved ones altogether. The anonymity of these graves has led to speculation that the spirits of those buried there remain restless. Paranormal investigators have reported strange occurrences near the cemetery, including phantom footsteps, ghostly apparitions, and an overwhelming feeling of sadness or dread. Several specific stories stand out among the many tales tied to the hospital. There's the crying woman. Visitors and staff have frequently reported hearing the sound of a woman sobbing in one of the older wings of the hospital. Though no one is ever found, the cries are said to be so heart-wrenching that they've brought some listeners to tears themselves. The silent nurse is a ghostly figure dressed in an old-fashioned nurse's uniform has been seen walking through the halls. Witnesses say she seems to be tending to patients, though she never speaks or interacts with the living. Then, there's room 105. This specific room, located in one of the hospital's oldest buildings, is rumored to be a hotspot for paranormal activity. Visitors report an overwhelming sense of unease upon entering, and many claim to hear scratching noises or faint knocking sounds coming from the walls. Today, the Austin State Hospital is still in operation, providing mental health services to patients across Texas. While modern practices have replaced the cruel treatments of the past, the hospital's legacy of pain and tragedy remains etched into its walls. The older sections of the hospital, many of which are no longer in use, continue to draw interest from paranormal investigators and urban explorers. Access to these areas is restricted, but that hasn't stopped the flow of ghost stories and eerie experiences tied to the site. For those seeking a glimpse into Texas haunted history, the Austin State Hospital serves as a stark reminder of a time when mental health care was as misunderstood as the spirits that reportedly linger within its grounds. Whether you're drawn to its history or its hauntings, the hospital offers a chilling look at the intersection of past and present. As we conclude our journey through Texas, it's clear that the Lone Star State is as rich in haunted history as it is in culture and tradition. Whether it's the whispers of restless spirits, the weight of untold history, these places remind us that Texas's darker side is just as captivating as its legendary tales of cowboys and pioneers. This has been Tyler. Thanks for joining me on this chilling exploration of Texas and its creepiest places. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more haunted histories and chilling tales. Share your thoughts or any ghostly experiences in the comments below. Until next time, stay curious and stay creepy. Bye for now.